Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschyacha Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I think we can call all of you the stalwart ones, because you're here bright and early, ready for the 64 round day, as we call it in ISKCON. And maybe some of you will do less than that, and maybe some of you will do more than that. Let's see how it goes. How about you? Do you have a plan? What's your plan? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. 32.
Minimum 32.
Minimum 32. What about your sister? Minimum 122. What's your minimum?
I don't know.
You don't know. You should have a goal. Have a goal. Whatever it is. Hee. Okay. By design, this class will be short, and then we'll continue chanting together until 9 o'clock, and then breakfast time, 9 o'clock, Mauna Vrata, please, and we'll continue from there. What time are you up this morning? 2:30? 12:30. A few others joined you. Okay. Very good. Okay, so hear with the spiritual ear, and it's a nice phrase. What does it mean? The phrase comes from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it's a nice meditation. Maybe some of you will be inspired, at least during some part of the day, to focus on hearing with the spiritual ear. I'll summarize the message, and then we'll carry on. His teaching is very simple. There's a process of hearing where sound vibration comes. He doesn't go into this detail, but there's an eardrum, and the sound vibration hits the eardrum. There are nerve endings that touch the eardrum, and then when the eardrum vibrates, the nerve endings are excited or activated, and the nervous system sends a signal to the brain that processes, aha, I hear a sound. And then we assess the sound based upon the conceptions that we have of things. We use our intelligence to assess, to evaluate, to discern what's that sound. Both the ear, the nervous system, and the mind that receives the signal, and the intelligence that evaluates, they're in the material plane. So he explained not all that, but we were accustomed to hearing transcendental sound as if it was a material sound, and it's not. And therefore, hearing of mantra, which is a transcendental sound, is perceived as a material sound. We process it that way. Then he gives this example. Just like in Vedic culture, a young boy at a certain age, some procedure, and girls too, the ear may be pierced, and as the earlobe, and then some little something on the ear, so to mark that they did this ritual. So as that's done in a child, so similarly, the piercing of the ear with the spiritual sound, and here with the spiritual ear. I'm going to embellish this a little bit. Here we go, embellishment. Most of you have probably heard of out-of-body experiences. Yes? You've heard of it? Okay, here's an out-of-body experience. I'll just keep it simple. sometimes during the course of surgery, open heart surgery under anesthesia, there are electrodes hooked up to the body to see how's the patient doing. If the heart stops, there's a signal. The heart stopped. And when the heart stops, blood doesn't go to the brain. When blood doesn't go to the brain, the whole nervous system shuts down, and another meter says your electrocardiogram, the nervous system shuts down and the heart shuts down. That means the body's dead. So there's a procedure in medicine. When either of those or those two things happen, there's a procedure. The procedure is the nurse is told by the doctor, place the electrodes on their chest, and then an electric charge is sent into the body, kind of like a jump start, to get the heart to start beating again. And sometimes it works. When the heart starts beating again, then the patient survives. If the heart doesn't start beating again, the patient is gone. So there's a number of examples in medical history, there are books written about it, where the patient, listen carefully, the patient reports to the physician afterwards, the ones that survived at least, the doctor comes and asks how did it go, and they said how it went. And they describe to the doctor the details of what was done, who said what to whom, what was the procedure. So there's visual, auditory, and memory functioning even when the body is dead. It's called an out-of-body experience. There's other examples, but just to keep it simple. The point is, the seat of consciousness is not the brain. The eyes and the ears are not spiritual. They're instruments, but the seat of consciousness has eyes and ears and a memory, a mind. And even when the body is dead, they're working. Because the body may die, but the soul doesn't die. The soul's eternal, correct? The soul's eternal, correct? Confirmed. So the soul's eternal, and there's a spiritual ear, and there's a spiritual eye, and the spiritual memory. And most of the time, we're not in that zone. We're in the forgetful zone. So we're hearing the mantra, but we're hearing it as a material sound when it's not a material sound. Therefore, the teaching of Bhaktisiddhanta is this: hear with the spiritual ear. How do you do that? How do you hear with a spiritual ear? Well, there's the, using Prabhupada's language, there's jnana and there's vijnana. There's theory and there's practical application of theory. That's our life in devotion. For example, there's a theory, you're not the body. Okay, that's a nice one, I like that one. I take one off the shelf and I wear it. It's mine. I'm not the body. But somebody steps on our toe, or somebody insults us, or something, and we're the body and the mind. Generally speaking, it's conceptual. Then the application of the concept, it's where rubber meets the road. It separates the men from the boys. It separates the neophyte from the one who is able to hear properly, or hear effectively, let's say. And then there's gradations in between where we are and where we want to be. But that's his instruction. That's what this topic is. And the idea is to go beyond mechanical chanting. There's the mechanical. It's easy. I mean, it's easier than transcendental hearing chanting. But you have to begin somewhere, so it begins with executing the mechanics of chanting. And here's Bhaktisiddhanta. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta is sometimes shown in photographs like this with a beard. And the reason is, during the Kartik month, he was accustomed to observing Kartik Vrata. And during the month of Kartik, he wouldn't shave. He would minimize, like an Ekadasi. His tradition, his part, is Hari Bhakti Vilas. Don't shave. You minimize the body things. And then his eating is it's just a detail. He would eat once a day for a month. And it was midday. He skipped breakfast and midday. And his meal was one thing. Khichdi, without salt. Try it. It's not palatable. Khichdi without salt is not so palatable. And another procedure that he followed was that he wouldn't eat with a spoon, and he wouldn't eat with his hands. He would eat only with his mouth. And there was a reason for it, because when you eat only with your mouth, so the khichdi is put on a leaf plate, and he'd lean over and lick the leaf plate like a dog, eating from a dog bowl or dish or something. And the rule was, you don't sit up and then go back down again, and sit up and go back down again. It's just, you stay down until you're finished. And when you're down, your stomach shrinks, or the capacity of the stomach shrinks. And when you sit up, that's it for the day, once a day. So his beard got, yucky stuff on his beard every day. But that was his procedure for 1 month. So it was, sometimes he's shown with a beard for the month of Kartik. And of course with books, because he was a very assiduous scholar, along with one who knew about chanting. You know what he knew about chanting? Here's something. He took a vow, circumstances, leaving that to the side, 1 billion names. And to do that, he chanted from morning till night the same number of rounds that Haridas Thakur would chant every day. And how many rounds did Haridas Thakur chant every day? 3 lakhs of rounds. 3 lakhs means 3 times 64 every day. 3 times 64 every day. 3 times 64 every day for a number of years. It's Superman. Every day. And his chanting was with focus. Remember this discussion? Twice we talked about it. Here's a nice little image. Here's a magnifying glass taking the light of the sun and focusing the light of the sun on a small point. It's not just the light of the sun, but the fire of the sun, and it will burn. And these teachings are the teachings of Patanjali, of how to chant in this way. Now, you practice this, let's say don't practice this, then you're not going to hear with the spiritual ear, which means that the chanting will remain as if it's material, although it's not. It's called the fence. Right? You accept that, and that which is spiritual, you perceive it as not spiritual. The scripture, the Vaishnavas, the deity, the holy Dham, as material, and then behave accordingly. It's a fence. So the fence-less chanting is where that which is spiritual you perceive as spiritual. So how do we get to the stage where we perceive the name as spiritual? So here's the same, we heard this already, Dirgha Kala, that is over a prolonged period of time, and Nairantarya, undeviating steadiness. And stay with it, like holding the magnifying glass in one position, don't move it. And satkara, with respect, reverence and devotion, or an adara. We saw these terms, we discussed these terms, so we're just repeating it so it's reinforced during our day of chanting together. So here's an image you've seen before. This is Krishna's name, the sound vibration entering the ear. And when the sound vibration is chanted in a relationship with Krishna, Krishna hears. There's a via medium, that's in this particular painting. This is one of Prabhupada's disciples named Sikhandi. And she's chanting, and the chanting sound is reaching Krishna. And there's no difference between Krishna and the sound. But the via media is there. The ear conquers the mind. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his vachaka form. What's the vachaka? There's the form, and there's the form of the sound. Because it's a nice teaching. The teaching is the sound of Krishna and the person Krishna are not different. Vacha and vachaka. Vacha and vachaka. They're the same. Material is not the same. Water, water, water. The sound is not water, etc. Material is sound, and the object of which the sound is representing or addressing or calling, they're different. You know, there's so many examples. You could say somebody's name, but the name of that somebody and the somebody are different. Unless it's transcendental. And then the sound and the person are non-different. When Vyasadeva was born, this is an example. When Vyasadeva was born, the son of Parashamuni and Satyavati, he was born in a very amazing way. When he was born, he was almost at once in a young boy's stature. Like Sukadeva Goswami was in the womb of his mother for 16 years, but Vyasadeva was in the womb of his mother for like a few minutes. And when he appeared, he was in a young adult stature. That's not normal. There was purpose behind it. And then he said, "My dear mother, I'm going off to perform austerities. See you later. But if you ever need me, just call my name and I'll come." And she later needed him, so she called his name and poof, there he was. To produce sons from Ambika and Ambalika. So he's not different than his name, but most people are different than their name. Most objects are different than the name of the object. But in this case, Vachaka, Krishna, the person and the name form is the same. Gradually and naturally will be invested with the potency with which will touch and transform our hearts and the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. So that's if you hear with a spiritual ear. And we're going to be an abrupt ending. I'm going to end shortly. Guess what? It's going to say the same thing. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in its vachika form, gradually and naturally we'll be invested with a potency which will touch and transform our hearts and the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. One more time. Same message, just different graphics. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his vachika form, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform our hearts and the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. So here we are, we're being invited into Krishna's holy abode, Vrindavan Dham, because the name and the person and the place of residence and his activities, his qualities, they're all on the same absolute platform. So by one, we're being invited into all of them by one, but it has to be heard in the proper way. So that's our class for this morning. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I think we'll not take questions, but it's now a little bit before 8 o'clock. We have some time before breakfast. Happy journey in your re-establishing your relationship with Krishna through the medium of Krishna's holy name, which is not different than him. Hear with a spiritual ear. And when you hear with a spiritual ear, there's transformation of the heart. We'll have some sharing towards the end of the 64-round day. Happy journey. What, you wanted the previous one? This one? I can send it to you. I'll just send it to you. Okay. Hare Krishna. Now, I'm going to have a really short whispering conversation with our technology man here. There's a... Come over here. Just come over here. Put down the microphone. Shut it off. Shut it off. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna. Do you have the presentation of crying for Krishna? Do you have a copy?
You need to have done.
Do you have a copy? I'll show you.
If it was done previously, it is already done. I don't know why it is only.
Do you have that? Do you have that or no?
I don't remember.
Do you have it or no?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you have a USB stick?
I can put it in the computer.
You have it? Do you have a USB?
You can use one?
Huh?
I can put it.
You can.